I think you see this with some of the attacks that we've seen on, recently we saw a pro-Palestinian protester defacing a statue of Pope John Paul II, calling him a fascist. It just feels like it's all wrapped up in the same stuff we're talking about. I imagine this is something you've thought about. Well, what do you think?
Well, I will say this. In 2020, so the summer of our discontent, the kind of torrid George Floyd maximalism that was running through the country, Princeton University's classics department put out a statement, a lot like a lot of others that were coming out at the time, saying classics has been a vehicle for all sorts of destructive, hateful ideologies, and we need to cleanse ourselves of this attachment, this connection between the discipline of Greek and Latin literature and fascism, basically. In 2021, ostensibly unrelatedly, Princeton dropped the requirement for classic students to learn Greek and Latin. And you no longer have to learn Greek or Latin to become a classicist. My suggestion here is that these two things are directly related to one another because language is a vehicle for culture. And if your culture is evil, if you believe that there is something dark and destructive about Western civilization more generally, then why should you bother to preserve or connect with or engage with the medium of this culture, which is the language and the literature of not only the Greeks and the Romans, but also the Jews and the Christians, and then the European nations that helped form what we call the West. Absolutely, these two things are connected and intentional and related. We could kind of digress at length about all the, cultural Marxists who sort of outlined the plan of attack here, guys like Gramsci and Noah Ignatieff, and, there's a whole intellectual lineage, whatever. But the main point is, yes, it's not just a technological transition that is making it harder to read great works. It's also an ideological platform that people are advancing using that technology. And usually it's presented as the way forward into some bright new future. But one of the things you learn from studying history is we actually only have the heritage that we've got. And yes, it's complicated. And yes, there are good and bad people and things and events in it. But the fundamental question is it good that Western civilization exists or not? And I think if you look at some of the alternatives in the ancient and modern world to Western civilization, you will discover that question has only one answer, and it's a resounding yes, it is good for the West to be. In order for it to be, we got to preserve and maintain a connection to the sources of.